Hi, welcome. My name is Sophia Renville, the Director of Scholarship Program at the National Alliance to the Advancement of Haitian Professionals, NHAP. Is a nonprofit organization committed to provide educational and professional opportunities to Haitian professionals. Every day we strive to make an impact by empowering the Haitian community through scholarships, mentorship, networking, and other career opportunities. Would you like to help us in this cause? All you need to do is to create an account on Amazon Smile and select the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals as your charity, and Amazon will automatically send us a small donation for every purchase you make at no cost to you. Creating an account on Amazon Smile is super simple. Just go to smile.amazon.com. Tap on the Get Started button, then click on the Create Your Amazon account at the bottom. Enter your name, email address, select a password, and tap on Create Your Amazon account. So solve the puzzle and then verify your account by using one-time password you will receive in your inbox. After that, add your phone number for safety, and boom, you have successfully created your account. Now, the most important step is to type in the search bar, National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. Then select NHAP as your charity. Tap on the box that says, Yes, I understand, and then click on Start Shopping. That's it. You successfully added NHAP to your charity. Just make sure to always start shopping at smiles.amazon.com. Thank you for your support. Let's create a better future together.
All right. Awesome. Well, I just want to welcome everyone that is tuning in to this virtual symposium. I am very excited that we have Eunice Zeigler here with us. And, our symposium is Meet the Haitian Candidate on Your Ballot. So we're going to just kind of dive into some conversations. Eunice is actually city councilman of Mattoon in Massachusetts. So all the Massachusetts people out there, she is here. Okay, so you get to really know her and have some conversations. I'm Naomi St. Germain-Lucien, and I am the owner and founder of Naomi's Coaching and Consulting. And I just want to give a big thank you to NAAHP, our partners, Book It Right, Accountancy, Chocorella, and College Cafe, as well as myself, Naomi's Coaching Consulting. So partners, we're just really grateful, and just thank you for this platform. And just one more kind of housekeeping thing I wanted to just a disclaimer for everyone is that the views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of NAAHP and our partners. So just wanted to make sure we get that clear. And we're just going to dive in. So welcome, Eunice. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So I have like so many questions, but I think this is a great platform for us to kind of dive in. I think this kind of series is awesome because it's like, okay, like not everyone is like in a, I love the nurses out there. I just want to say I love all you, but I was like, oh, are you doing this and you doing that? But hey, we have people that are in interest in politics and different things like that. So why politics?
Yes. So I grew up in a very community-centered family, right? As many Haitian-American families, we grew up going to church every weekend, very involved in that community. My parents always instilled in me the value of giving back, of being a resource, being a light to others. And so both my parents were nurses. I know you you mentioned earlier that, we do other things, but many of my family members are nurses. So shout out to the nurses out there. But and that's a common, story in the Haitian culture, right? Because we're a caring culture. For me, I didn't choose that path. I didn't choose nursing, but I still wanted to give back to the community. I still was very interested in how policies were made. I was very interested in how we work together as a cohesive unit in order to get resources to people. And so throughout high school, throughout college, I was just drawn to any and every service-oriented organization that I possibly could be drawn to, peer leaders, key clubs, student activities and leadership, you name it. I just wanted to be part of an organism that would be a conduit to getting resources and assistance to others. And so when I graduated, I went to college and got my bachelor's in political science and continued on to get my master's in economics and social development. I went right into public service. So I worked in community development, and I noticed the families that I was assisting. I was able to connect with them in a special way, right? Because I understood them, I understood their plight. I also recognized that a lot of my colleagues in the field in community development and public service, did not look like me, right? Did not have necessarily that connection that I was fostering with some of the clients that I was working with. And there was a need. There was a deep need to have representation, to have a different perspective at the table for decision making. So in 2017, there was an open seat on the city council, and I decided to run. And when I ran in 2017, gosh, I ran and I just told everyone that I have the background, I have the experience, and I have the drive to do things differently, to represent the community and to bring value that has never been brought to the seat, to the city council before. And it was not lost on me also that it was a scary moment, a different moment for some community members because they had never been a person of color serving in the city council. And so I had, people tell me, well, Eunice, I know you're going to work hard. I know you're going to go out there, but just know that you've done your best, right? Sort of setting that bar of, you're going to try, but you're going to fail type of mentality. And so, when I ran, it was the most contentious race because out of all the city council races in the city, I ran for East District. Mine was the only one that had 5 people running for the seat. And so I had a preliminary election, which I came out victorious in, and then the general election. And since then, I've been doing what I've been called to do, which is to bring value, bring people together, uplift in any way that I possibly can through various community activities, traditions that I've started. So you ask, that's a long, answer to your question, but it's necessary for us to understand each other's journeys and to learn from that journey to impact our own victories.
Yeah, no, even though it was long, I think it was much needed for us to understand, and it makes a lot of sense. And you think of us, as Haitian-American, yeah, we have that instilled in us in like hard work and dedicate, just being really resilient and also just really caring people. So being in that political realm really makes sense. And, being in your role as a Haitian-American, what have you seen, in that role as city council, in where you are in Methuen, in Haitian-American or Haitian community specifically?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've seen, that I've experienced, is that there's definitely a need for that representation, because people will come to City Hall or to a city department and feel nervous, honestly, about interacting with government officials, feeling like they may not have the correct questions to ask, or they may not be fully prepared in some other way. And so I'm able to be a conduit, right? I'm able to be a intermediary. They can come to me in any way, right? So whether it's text, through social media, through phone call, you name it, or through email, I'm accessible and I'm able to help, to break down that barrier, right? If there are any barriers. I also, use the different languages that I speak, right? So I speak English, Haitian Creole, French, and Spanish. So I use all the languages that I speak, and many Haitian Americans are similar to me in that a lot of us have competencies in all those 4 languages, which make us really key community leaders in whatever we're doing. So I bring my full authentic self into what I'm doing. in order to dispel any barriers or any notions about government being so removed that it can't work for community members. And so I think that is key. One of the other things that I've done as a city councilor is over the last few years, we've really had to reckon with how we create and sustain inclusive communities across this nation. And Methuen was no different. So, as a counselor standing in my own power, I coordinated various community forums to talk about social equity, right? And I invited community leaders from all levels, local and state, to be present while community members came and shared their experience, shared their truth about instances in which they were made to feel lesser than or other than.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a groundbreaking experience because one, many community members that were present had never been to a community meeting before. And two, it was the first forum that we held of that nature in which community members were asked to be present to listen, solely listen. There no grandstanding, no, nothing, none of that, none of the pageantry, just there to listen, but also called to action as well, right? So several months after that, we had a forum, a response in which the various department heads and community leaders, we came forward and gave an update on what we're working on, right? So now we have a DEI coordinator in the city. I put forth legislation that passed unanimously to ensure that we have 2 conferences every year where we're talking about social equity, right? We now celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month within the city, and that is something that I started understanding that when we're talking about Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month, Haitians are included in that as well, right? We are a very prominent, in my heart, right, a prominent country within Latin America as well. So we need to, embrace that we're also celebrating that heritage, and that our heritage is interwoven in several of the other Latin American countries as well, right? And so with me being there as a community leader, as a counselor, I was able to drive these initiatives. Had I not been there, these initiatives would have never gotten off the ground.
Definitely. Yeah, I guess that was my next question of, what changes have you made while you've been, which you've already listed so many, which are amazing. And I guess for people maybe that don't know about Methuen, like what are like the population of, Haitian-Americans that are living there, or minorities as a whole, where you're at?
Yeah. So Methuen is where Methuen is, I should start with, right? So we are a city of about 53,000 residents, and we just border New Hampshire, right? So we're way up northern Mass, right? Northeastern Massachusetts. And our demographics are, largely Caucasian, right? We do have 40% of persons of color that are living within the community. 31% are Latino, and the remaining percentage, 9%, is a mixture of Asian populations, Asian, Southeast Asian, and Greek, Lebanese, you name it. There is a large diversity there within the city. And so, when I got elected, I got to serve, and I continue to serve as a voice for the diversity within the city, right? I continue to be the only person of color serving on the city council, and I am really happy about the work I've been able to do. One of the other things that I was able to accomplish is, with my background in economics, I felt that there was a need for an economic development committee within the council. And so within my second month, I established it. And by October of that first year, we launched our first ever community-wide festival called Methuen Day. And the premise behind it was to amplify our small business community as well as our arts and culture community within the town. And so flash forward 4 years later, last year, we had our fourth annual Methuen Day celebration, and over 5,000 people attended. They came to our downtown, and this has become such a sought after community-wide tradition. We closed down 2 streets downtown. It's a block party, right? We had 85 vendors, a food truck row, various kids corner activities, you name it. Our police department has an open house. Our fire department has an open house. It is one of the largest community building activities that we have outside of the 4th of July fireworks, right? And so this is what I was able to accomplish on the local level that no other counselor has been able to accomplish. Because for me, as a community leader, I'm not leading just for me. I'm leading so that I can open the door and keep the door propped open for others to come and follow in my footsteps and to amplify at an even greater level, right? So as leaders, that's the torch that we carry, right? We want to make sure that we're doing what we're doing so well, so authentically, with so much passion, that we're inspiring others to do the same and to even level up what we've put out there. And so that's what I go into every day in my leadership. That's what I strive to achieve.
That's awesome. Definitely some great points. I'm just like, wow, listening to him, like, I just need to come visit and just, the festival, we just need to be part of that. But that's awesome. And I think it definitely gives you an up because of like the demographics, and it's so important that we are represented. And I think because of our background and, language wise, we can definitely relate to that population that is in that area where you're at and really affect change. So that's awesome. Now, I guess, the question is, if you win, well, I'm going to say when you win.
Right.
Get energy out there. The state Senate, like what's your top 3 goals? And how will you help, how will those goals help, the Haitian-Americans that are in Methuen? I'm just interested, like, what would that be?
Yeah. So I am at a very critical point in my leadership where I've served on the city council since 2018. And we have in Methuen, we have term limits, which do not exist in many places. So you can run 3 2-year terms, and then after that, you're unable to run. Some people have taken time off and then run again later on. For me, I love serving my community, and this is an opportunity for me to continue to serve at a greater level, to take what I've done at the local level and amplify it greater. So I'm running for the state Senate seat that represents all of Methuen, all of Lawrence, and in Haverhill, it's downtown Mount Washington and the Acre neighborhoods of Haverhill. I've worked in every city in this district. Right, I'm city councilor in Methuen. I used to work in Haverhill and community development, as we talked about earlier, and I currently work in Lawrence as the director of advancement for the YWCA. So my main role there is to expand our reach into the community and to connect with community partners there. So my entire professional career, I've been working to expand resources for lower income families, to break down barriers. And as a state senator, I'd be able to call on not only my educational experience, but my professional experience to be a voice and an advocate at the table for priorities such as public education, right? Expanding resources. And when I say expanding resources, I'm not just saying to throw money, right? Yes, there needs to be additional financial resources, but we need to look at our structure within the public education system and ensure that our kids are really given the tools to succeed, ensure that our educators are given the tools to be supported as they're cultivating, the next generation of leaders, right? And because I am so dedicated to that vision, I've gained the endorsements of the Massachusetts Teachers Association and the American Federation of Teachers Massachusetts chapter as well. I want to focus on expanding economic empowerment opportunities for families, right? And so that is such a critical goal. And what I mean by that is I want to ensure that we're looking at the programs, social programs that are working, and ensuring that those are sustained. Programs like family self-sufficiency programs that I've worked in, which help families to identify 5-year strategic goals for themselves, whether it's home ownership, whether it's educational attainment, attaining a certificate or graduating from college, whether it's financial independence, right? Financial literacy, right? Whatever those goals may be, but having a structured plan with benchmarks to help them to reach those plans. Right? I want to look at infrastructure. Infrastructure is key because you can't have a conversation about economic empowerment and education without a conversation about infrastructure, because infrastructure impacts the upper two, right? And when we talk about infrastructure in Massachusetts, our roads are crumbling, right? Our bridges need repair. We're having this same cyclical conversation about, well, there's not enough money, and we'll have to do this study and we'll have to do that study. Well, if we are strategic about it and we establish an action plan, and even further, a strategic plan with 3-year and 5-year checkpoints, then we're able to make progress. We just need to start. We need to say that by 2025, we'll have repaired 10% of our roads, and by 2030 we have repaired 22% of our, whatever that is. But we need to start. We need to have vision, and we need to be intentional about it. Also, when we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about public transportation, right? It's not lost on any of us that the rate our economy is going, gas prices are continuing to increase. Utilities are continuing to increase as well, yet pay is staying stagnant. Our public transportation, at least in the Methuen area, Methuen, Lawrence, and Haverhill area, the offerings are very limited, which makes it difficult for that to be a real option for families to get to and from work and to and from school, right? And so we need to look at what we have as an infrastructure for families to ensure that they have all the resources that they need to seek after the job opportunities, the educational opportunities, the enrichment opportunities that are going to allow their families to have the best quality of life.
So many important and big milestone parts of what that's just so much and just so very, very important. I think when listening to you about, again, putting ourselves in the Haitian-American community, with business infrastructure, how does that play for us? How do we have that be attainable for us? Because it is a struggle. And I think, again, with the representation, having you and knowing and background is so important, and that being one of your goals, if you win, I think is big.
Yeah, and it's so attainable. It starts with that conversation, right? It starts with, if I'm elected, when I'm elected, right? I'd be able to have those office hours in Haitian Creole, right? Where we're talking about the resources that are available. I'd be able to pull in. We have several organizations throughout the state that are working to help advance Haitian families, getting them access to the resources that we need, right? Bringing all of them to the table and ensuring that we have a collective action around getting the resources together, right? So I would create that think tank so that we're all having regular conversations, so that when it comes to budget time, I'm able to best advocate for the resources that are going to help the Haitian community in present day. We are at a great crossroads where as a state, we've elected, I would be the second Haitian American state senator elected to our state Senate. Several years ago, we had former state senator Linda Dorsina-Fori, who did an amazing job representing in the Suffolk area in Boston. And so I would be carrying that torch to ensure that the good work that she did when she was in office is continued, right? To ensure that we have a voice, to ensure that we have accessible leadership, because that's the way that we're going to move forward. And that's the way that the Haitian community is going to continue to be amplified, right? Is ensuring that people know. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times what we see happen is that our families, right, in the community are not able to access the resources that are necessary to help them get to the next level because of lack of knowledge, right? And I want to be a resource to ensure that that doesn't continue to happen, right? That people are aware of the representation that they have, that they are aware of the resources they have that are for free, right? That we're cracking down on some, barriers for residents, right? And not just residents that vote, but residents that live here, that contribute, folks who may even just be on a visa, right, and are trying to navigate the green card process, right, to ensure that they're supported, right, because that's part of it. That's a barrier for a lot of people in the Haitian community, within several communities, right? Not just the Haitian community as well. So looking at how we can collaborate. Collaboration is key. I've said many times throughout my leadership at the local level that as a leader, a true leader knows that without collaboration, you have nothing. And so I'll be bringing that forward. And I know that NAHP, that's integral to what you all are doing, right? You all are creating this platform by which we can network and collaborate with one another, right? You never know if someone who's watching this forum or someone who went to the conference last year or is going to the conference this year, that'll be in Boston. And I'm so happy to see you all when you come down. I got a hug waiting for you. But I mean, this is what we do, right? We are connectors of people. And as leaders, that's how we continue to grow, continue to flourish, right? L'union fait la force, right? So that's about that. That's integral to our ancestry.
No, definitely. And being able to be educated, and those that are not able to have access to those resources, giving them access, and not just saying, okay, we have this here, because there's a lot of resources that are free, that classes, things that they can take. And it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So I think having someone on that is in office that is able to really open the gates in a way where, hey, this is where you guys can go for this resource, and really, your focus is helping obviously minorities, and especially Haitian-Americans or Haitians. Like, I think that's crucial. So that's awesome. I am curious, as a Haitian woman, what do you think, if you win this state Senate, what do you think are some of the challenges that you might face while running?
Yeah, so definitely people talk about this old boys network, right? How, that plays a role in how politics are shaped, right? And how politics move. And so I've been told that could be a barrier. But I honestly, I don't see it as a barrier, right? For me, one of my strengths is collaborating, as I said, getting to know people. At the end of the day, the state Senate is made up of 40 individuals. And God willing, I'll be one of those individuals come next year. And individuals who have similar drive, right? Similar passions. There may be some differences in how we approach things. There may be some nuances in our views, but at the end of the day, each of us has a common goal to go there and represent our city and make sure that our constituents know that we're there for them, right? So for me, my way around any barriers that may be presented is to just really get to know my fellow colleagues and my fellow leaders, right? And make an intentional effort to be, forthcoming about, what my priorities are from day one, so that we have a common understanding. Because I know that, there will be disagreements, right? But there will also be wonderful pieces of legislation that we'll be able to put forth that will make the community better, right? That will make life within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts a, beautiful life, right, for many families throughout the state. And so I am going to stay focused on the goal. I stay focused on the priorities that I mentioned earlier. On my website at eunicezeigler.com, I do have a full list of other priorities that I'd like to work on, including healthcare as well. And I'm not running for state senate just because it's nice next thing to do, right? There are candidates out there that run for office and run for higher office because of the allure of it, because they want that power, they want that gravitas, they want to just see the title in front of their name. That's not why I'm out there. That's not why I'm running. I'm running because I want to bring true resources. I was asked at a forum recently with candidates for this seat, what would be the first bill that I'd like to put forward, that I would push for? And I was the only candidate that had a concrete answer, right? Because I've thought about this intentionally. And one of the first bills that I'd like to put forward is requiring financial literacy in our schools, right? Truly requiring it and truly funding this effort, because there's been talk about it before, and there's been conversations about, well, this should be a suggestion, but it hasn't been funded. It hasn't been truly looked at. It hasn't been structured. I want to truly structure it, right? And it can be done through collaborations between public and private entities. I wholeheartedly believe that, because currently in my hometown in Methuen, what we have is this Credit for Life fair that happens one day every year, and I sign up as a mentor, and it's one day that our seniors in high school get to come down to the gym, and there's various vendors set up that talk about budgeting, investments, stock, philanthropy, and all of that. The exercise that they're given is they're given an occupation, they're given an income, a weekly budget, right? This is all kind of on paper. They're not actually, given any actual money, but they're given this comprehensive spreadsheet by which they have to figure out, okay, with this occupation and with this budget, how am I able to feed myself, clothe myself, get the resources that I need, a car, am I going to have time to travel or money to travel? Am I going to have money to be able to give back? Starting to get them to think about life, right? Helping them to build life skills. But that's just one day, right? And several high schools across the country have this one day. For me, I feel it's vital that we have these conversations more regularly, so that when our students are graduating high school, they're graduating with the capability of balancing a budget. They're graduating with the capability of understanding their financial power. They're graduating with the ability of understanding that home ownership is reachable for them, right? Investments are reachable for them, right? It's not some far off, unattainable goal, but they themselves, if they are strategic and have a plan for themselves, they can engage in these strong financial processes early. This will help us to build more generational wealth, right? Because knowledge is power, right? That's completely known, right? So that's what I want to work on. truly, to ensure that we are thinking about our future, right? That we're making the proper investments in addition to the priorities that I listed. So I am fully 110% in this race for state senate. It is exciting. It's something that I am, really looking forward to bring the most good in. But, we're here today to talk about, what the path is and why I chose to do this. And I hope I've given you some insight into this. And I'm encouraging you all to look at my website, eunicezeigler.com, and to support as well, right? So collaboration, we have nothing. In order to make this feasible, I'll need your support. I'll need financial support as well. You can donate through my website. If you'd like to have a conversation with me, to volunteer, you can volunteer from anywhere in the country. Phone calls can be made from anywhere. I welcome you to Team Zeigler if you are so inclined. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to continue to have this conversation.
Yeah, no, it's been like, so I'm like, yes, like we just need to go out and support you. Everyone can see her website. Please go and support. And I think, having these platforms, it's really great to get to know you, and it's giving awareness as well. And, I know you're talking about like financial literacy and stuff like that. But also, like, I feel like in our Haitian community, minorities as a whole, but about voting, like going out there and voting, and who are we voting for, and how, we can't just, are we voting for this group or that group? Are we really knowledgeable about those things? And I think this platform is great to know, like, hey, I live in this area, and like you're doing all these great things, and you represent me, you're someone like me. And I think that's important for that. You were talking about the whole financial literacy and how that's important. I guess I think, like, how does that look like to get that out there and where you're at of providing these resources?
Yeah, so that will not happen overnight.
No.
One of the things that my colleagues know about me, who I serve with currently, is that I'm a realist, right? I understand that this will take some time to get the key stakeholders to the table, right? Whether it's the local banks, local credit unions, the various superintendents, across the Commonwealth, to sit and have a conversation as to, one, where we can fit this within the curriculum, what's the most feasible way of doing it, right? For me, I don't have experience as a superintendent of schools, so I would need to rely on that expertise. But the way that I envision it working, at least to start, is that it's a unit within the regular curriculum, right? And we have several opportunities to have these life skills units, but we're not using them, right? So I would love to ensure that we are doing this, and just having brief introductions. Maybe it's a course a week, and maybe that course is either taught by the teacher or a volunteer from a local bank or a local credit union that comes in and gives a 30-minute presentation once a month, or however frequently the school district decides. But there needs to be more exposure, right, and more resources. There are nonprofit organizations across the state, as well across the country, that do this work, right? That do this financial literacy work. So they already have curriculums that are put together. So we don't have to start from scratch. The information is out there. It's just a matter of ensuring that our youth have access to it early. And not just our youth, but we need to start with ensuring that those skills are ingrained early, right? One of the things that we know very well in the Haitian community is that you got to teach them up young, right? So many of us, we're learning you learn early how to wash those dishes, how to wash your clothes, how to put them away a certain way, how to clean your room a certain way, right? There are key skills, key life skills that you are taught at home. But for financial literacy is not always taught at home because it wasn't taught. It may not have been taught to someone's parents, right? It may not have been a conversation in the home, right? We don't always talk about, as persons of color, uh, a lot of times that conversation about financial literacy is not had within the home, right? And so we're put at a disadvantage, right? And that, you know, if the conversations aren't happening at home, then where are they happening? People are finding out the hard way about credit. People are finding out the hard way about budgeting. People are finding out the hard way about stocks and investments. But if we start to be proactive about it and have these conversations, you know, in schools, in our churches, right, in the community, we expose kids to these conversations, these fruitful conversations, these life skills early, then we're all the better for it, right? And then also for ourselves as professionals, ensuring that we are pouring into our own cups and that we're continuing to educate ourselves about finances, right? About new investment opportunities, that we're continuing to learn, right? Because education should not be stagnant, right? Our brain is a muscle, right? People go to the gym because, you know, you got to make sure that you're keeping your muscles activated, right? Same thing with your mind, with your brain. You want to make sure that you're continuing to flex that muscle, continuing to expose yourself to knowledge that's going to help you to grow, that's going to help you to be a better steward, to be a better leader in whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what field you're in, you are a leader, right?
Yeah.
It's you lead from wherever you are.
Definitely. Such a good takeaway for sure. Yeah, and just all of talking with you, and listening to everything that you're doing, you've done so far. I guess it's like, what out of all of that, like, what are you like most passionate about when it comes to, making change and taking on the role that you're currently in and possibly going into this new role if that happens? And we're saying, we're putting some good vibes out there. But yeah, what are you most passionate about when it comes to that?
I just love being creative, right? I guess, I don't know if it's just the Haitian side of me, right? When someone's like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're like, I'm Haitian.
Okay.
Like,
Watch me. Watch me. Watch me. Right? And so for me, it's all about, like, I love problem solving, right? I love people coming to me and telling me, well, oh, I don't know how this works, and why does this policy work this way, and being able to change things, right? So one of the things that I noticed when I became a counselor was, I wanted to put forward legislation, right? And I have, but I noticed that we didn't readily have access to the legislation that was put forth before, right? If I needed to have any research done of legislation that was passed relative to social equity, or legislation that was passed relative to tax incentives, or what have you, any topic, then we would have our council clerk, go through the archives, and then she would send over an email of what was there. But I noticed that the public didn't have access to this, right? It was more so it was an internal thing. And so I then, put forth legislation and started this project for digitizing all of our legislation, right? And so it's taking some time, because that's thousands and thousands of pieces of legislation over time. But, in the next few months, that will be readily accessible to the public, to be able to search, to be able to look at and understand where the inefficiencies are, and to collaborate with us as local leaders to ensure that we are not leaving any gaps for policy making, right? And so that's what I love. I love being able to identify well, wait, like, this doesn't make sense, right? The way we're doing things doesn't make sense. And just think about a creative way of doing it differently, right? It's not hard. A lot of times it's just you're using your own experience to impact and innovate, right? And we do this across many industries. That's what I look forward to the most. Is just innovating. It also speaks to the other side of myself as an artist, right? So I write music and I sing. I love to sing, right? So similar to many people who are probably watching, right? Grew up in the church, sang in the choir, the whole bit, right? I absolutely am passionate about music, right? I'm passionate about art, and I bring that into everything that I do. And so that's why the creative lens needs to be applied to everything, and I look forward to applying that.
That's awesome. No, I think honestly, you make a good point. I think being creative is crucial, and a role of politics and a problem solver is important. And someone that enjoys that and really cares about, hey, this is the problem we have. How can we solve it to the best of our ability? So I think that's important. It's been awesome chatting with you and learning more about what you're doing, and this is awesome. I don't know. I'm going to see if there's any questions. We're going to kind of go into a Q&A. So anyone out there watching, if you have any questions, let's see. So we have one popped up, and I think this is awesome. So it said, what advice would you give a young woman who is interested in pursuing a career in politics?
So when I was younger, I volunteered on campaigns, right? I got involved because you don't know what you don't know, as you said earlier, right? So you need to really get into get into the behind the scenes of what it takes, not only to do the job, but what it takes to run, right? I love uplifting others, right? So one of the things that I did when I first ran for city council, is I had a number of interns that were on board, and I asked them, what are your aspirations? What do you want to give back, or what do you want to get out of this experience? And another number of the interns that worked with me have gone on to political consulting and uh, various other careers. But it's been a absolutely amazing experience, um, to do that. And so I would say, reach out to your local elected official. You can reach out to me as well. I'm accessible. Find time to volunteer, to understand what the needs are in the community, to get your team together, get your vision together, but just be prepared to understand what you want to give back, right? I think that is key. It is definitely key when you're thinking about pursuing a career in politics, right? And read and learn what it is that you can bring, that you can offer. So I think, I'm not sure if I'm frozen or Naomi's frozen, but I appreciate the question that was brought forward. I am, so grateful for this conversation that we were able to have tonight, because it's important. It's important for us to talk about the various, roads that we can take to make a difference, whether it's you're running for office, or whether it's that want to review or look into another career path. A lot of the steps are the same, right? Learn as much as you can. Build your network. Go to different networking events to do that. Reach out and use resources and tools like LinkedIn, right? If you have something you're interested in, have conversations with people who are in the field, right? Learn what your local resources are. Resources that are available to me in Methuen may not be the same resources that are available to you. or the strategies that may work in Methuen may not work where you're at. So it's helpful to have a conversation with someone who was in the field, local, on the ground to where you are.
Awesome. No, all good things. And it seems like also kind of research what you're really passionate about.
Yeah.
If going for it. So we got another question. All right. This is good. So the other question is, how can we specifically support your campaign?
Yes. So there are many ways to support the campaign. One of the ways is to donate financially to the campaign. So the donations help my team and myself to get the message out there. Right, running for office is costly when you're looking at doing mail and doing advertising, getting signage, and all of that. You know, there is the opportunity to get that word out, but it can't be done without the financial contributions. So those can be made on my website, eunicezeigler.com. And there's a donate button. So you just click that and you're able to donate whatever amount you can. You know, no donation is too small. No donation is too, I was going to say no donation is too large, but actually there is there's $1,000 cap per individual. but yeah, donations are appreciated. Also spreading the word, you know, right? We were so if you have friends, family, colleagues that live in Methuen, Lawrence, or Haverhill, please let them know. Let them know that I'm running. You can share my website with them. Encourage them to go vote. September 6th is the election day in Massachusetts, the primary election. It is the day after Labor Day, right? Which is tough, right? Because that's a popular vacation holiday, you know. And if you're in New York, you know, Labor Day, that's when you have the big festival and you all are out there just having a blast. But you know, for us, the day after, that's the election day. So, you know, reminding people to come out to vote. As I said earlier, too, making phone calls is helpful as well. You can make phone calls from anywhere. So on my website, there is a volunteer link. You can click the link and you can sign up on the form, and my team will be in touch with you to plug you in to a phone bank activity where you can call. You'll be given a script. You don't have to go off the cuff in any way, but you'll be given a script and you can help to gain more support for my candidacy.
Awesome. Any other questions? Kind of see if we have any final questions. Okay, so it seems like that was all the questions. I think those two were really good. And kind of like the question went into what your ask would be of us, of the Haitian-American community regarding, your election. So you kind of went through all of those steps of how we can reach you, how we can support you, even if it's not with, monetary, it's volunteering and all those things really help. And don't forget, whoever is living in the Methuen, Mass area, it is September 6th. Make sure you guys get on there and you vote for Eunice. Honestly, it's been such a great experience just talking with you, chatting with you. And again, just awesome to be able to have this platform for us and to learn more about, and just to know, like, hey, politics we're involved in that. We have that instilled in us to make change, and we can be part of these conversations, and we have a seat at the table, and it is attainable. And talking with you, it's attainable. And for other people to see that, I think is important.
Yeah, no, it's very attainable. You just gotta go in there with a vision and a plan, for whatever you're doing, So I do hope that some people who are watching are thinking of running for office. We need you. We need your light. We need your energy. We need your thoughts. You don't have to be some, expert, physicist or anything of that nature. You just need to have a heart for community, and you need to have the drive to serve and to advocate. Those are the two qualities that you need to do this work, and really for any work. that you're doing to make a difference. So, I do hope that you'll consider it. Feel free to reach out to me if I can be of any support, any assistance. I love to help with idea generation, innovation in any way. But I truly appreciate this opportunity to speak with you, to have this conversation about leadership, what it looks like, what I've been able to do. I hope I've shed some light on some things for those of you who are interested in getting into this work, or who are just kind of, maybe stuck and want to think about things outside the box. You can definitely do it, right? And so I appreciate you all truly. From the bottom of my heart, I do appreciate you all, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I hope that we can continue these conversations, and that you can feel free to reach out to me. And your prayers are also welcome as well if you're a praying person, for September 6th for the election day. Again, my name is Eunice Zeigler. I'm running for state senate for the 1st Essex District in Methuen, Massachusetts, representing Methuen, Mass, Haverhill, Mass, and Lawrence, Massachusetts. Feel free to check out my website, eunicezeigler.com. That's Eunice, EUNICE, Zeigler, ZEIGLER.com. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, that's awesome. I guess my final question, I like to throw things last minute. Interesting. What would, in your, realm of, politics, what is a book? What is a good book that sticks in your head that maybe that could direct others, it possibly into this role, or that, I guess knowledge is power. So that could give us more knowledge in regards to roles as minorities, as Haitian-Americans, that sticks in your head.
Yeah. Wow. So for me, it's, about learning from others' journeys, right? So I really liked Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. I feel like that was very powerful. A small, quick read leadership book is Who Moved My Cheese, which talks about change management and how we can navigate that, right? So as a leader, you need to have a game plan around change management, because change happens very quickly. And if you do not have that, fortitude or that plan around that, that can really set you back, right? And just continue to stay informed, right? Make sure that you're reading your local paper, right? Make sure that you're engaging. Make sure that you're staying up to date on your local government's website page. A lot of information is out there. A lot of resources are out there that can help you to stay informed, that can help you to stay engaged. I also want to put out there that I know you're talking about a book, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take this time to have a call to those to look at appointed positions as well, because that is very powerful, right? Looking at appointments to your local zoning board, your local licensing board, right? Your local youth commission. Those roles are key to help shaping your local community. So I encourage you to look at that as well, and be a voice for your community to ensure that there are opportunities for others.
Awesome. That was awesome. Well, thank you. And those books are great books, by the way, good picks. But we just want to thank NAHP and just having you on here. So thank you all. It's been so awesome chatting with you.
Thank you.